that 90s Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, James Dunstall. Today, a very special guest, former two-time WWE Tag Team Champion and former Noah champion, Tag Team Champion, even though he's never been defeated for the belts. So rightfully, there still is the one and only Mr. Rene Dupree. How you doing, Rene?
Very good, but you missed out on All Japan TV Champion as well.
If I had to list down all your accomplishments and titles, it'll be a 20-minute intro.
I'm good, man. How you been?
Oh, good, thanks. Yeah, like I said, just coming out of lockdown now, and yeah, it's gonna be weird when I actually do a show intro and not talk about coronavirus or lockdown anymore.
Right. It's brutal, man. Brutal.
Yeah. But crazy. But how's it over there? I know Montreal and Canada has been hit pretty bad, but I think you just said you're starting to come towards the end of it now.
Well, I'm not in Montreal. I'm in New Brunswick. It's about 14 hours east.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm on the Atlantic Ocean. We're doing very good over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been chatting to some of the lads on, I suppose, Montreal side, and they're still in, like, what do you call it, curfew and that, so they just can't get out past 8 o'clock, so it's like crazy.
Yeah, it's brutal. They had a curfew at 8 o'clock, and well, it's the major cities, right? More populated, obviously. There's going to be more virus or whatever.
So I suppose we'll jump to the beginning, and I've just realised you're actually the first second generation wrestler I've actually had on the show. So, I mean, to get from your perspective, what was it like training under your father, the great Emile?
Stressful. It's not easy having a father as a promoter and a pro wrestler, especially from his era, because he started in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
So I got raised old school. When he taught me how to grab a hold, he put it on for real, so I knew how to sell it.
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
How old was you when you started training? Was you like, I could imagine, like really young?
I was 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my father is 86, so he was in his 60s when he trained me, but he was still, he's 86, he has no gray hair, and still looks good for his age,
Yeah. And Grand Prix Wrestling, it was quite a great promotion, and a lot of stars passed through there as well, the likes of Match Man and stuff. So what was it like growing up around this company?
Oh, it was great. I remember Dynamite Kid coming over to the house.
Oh, wow.
Harley Race lived with us. I remember seeing Edge and Christian when they were just right before they went to WWF. They were here.
Yeah.
I got to travel with Bad News Brown. That was quite intimidating. But yeah, it was like a dream life,
Yeah.
So.
There's been a lot of news around about Dynamite lately. Obviously, had this Dark Side of the Ring episode, and I actually interviewed his daughter a few weeks back, and she was lovely to speak to, Bronwyn. What was your experience like with Dynamite?
Oh, I was so young, right? I was only like 6. But he gave me his ring jacket. I still have it. Yeah, I just got it at the attic at my parents' house. But I was starstruck, and that's when he had no teeth.
Oh, yeah. Cool. And you made your way towards WWE and still like super young, and your first pit stop was OVW. So how was it working there and under Jim Cornette? He's quite a character.
God damn!
God damn.
I did another podcast today from a fella from Ireland. And to be honest with you, if there was 2 or 3 guys that had the gift of gab, the talking ability that Cornette has,
yeah,
the business would be booming.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because love him or hate him, the motherfucker can talk.
Oh, yeah. He is so entertaining. I listen to his shows every week. And...
Oh, yeah. He even bashed me, but I was like, great. It's fucking entertaining.
Yeah.
But he can be fucking brutal. But no, I enjoyed OVW. I was only there a short time.
Yeah.
6 months. But yeah, I like Southern women. They're great.
Yeah, you was brought in with a lot of hype, and I mean, WWE noticed something straight away because as soon as you debuted in OVW, you was straight up to the main roster. So, whose idea was it to pair you with Sylvan as a tag team?
Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, at the time, we didn't get along at all. But now that I'm older, I called him on the phone today, so we're actually pretty close again. You know, anytime I have problems with actual life, I'm not like exclude wrestling. I usually call him and ask him his opinion on shit. You know? So it's kind of like a faith, almost like a big brother that I need in my life. You know.
Yeah, he seems like one of the good guys in wrestling, Sylvan.
Yeah, yeah. At the time, he just wasn't very experienced, and because he didn't come up through independence and all that other stuff. But he's French Canadian, so us French Canadians have a tendency to be kind of arrogant. But it's not like we're not malicious. It's just that's just who we are. I guess French from France are the same thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Part of our DNA. But no, he's not a bad guy at all.
Oh, and he's made a great debut on Raw, attacking Scott Steiner, and man, the heel heat you've got, like especially that foreign heat, it's lightning in the bottle when it happens. So, what was it like doing this first angle attacking Steiner?
He was he wasn't too happy about it because nobody knew who we were, but that was the whole point. We're there to make an impact, you know. But you're right, the heel heat that we got as that tag team. I mean, I totally forgot because I mean that's like over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But Sly reminded me, is like, dude, do you remember we're in New York City and we needed police escorts? I go, oh yeah, I forgot. We needed like name me another anybody, any heel in the last 20 years that actually needed police escorts. There's none. Except us. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think they tried to do a similar gimmick the year beforehand with the Un-Americans, Christian, Storm, and Test. And from everywhere I've heard, it's like they was a bit scared to go fully into it and embrace it, where you didn't give a fuck, basically.
I didn't get this one time, right? We were in Raw in New York City, Madison Square Garden, right? And we had to learn the French national anthem. Like we had no clue how to sing the French national anthem.
Yep.
So we're singing it right, and it's obviously getting it's boos and shit. But then we go to commercial break, and then the referee's got the earpiece in, right? It's like, guys, get some heat, get some heat, get some heat. I'm like, okay. So off the top of my head, I ad-libbed this promo. I said, you people want to know what USA really stands for? The U is for unappreciative. The S is for selfish because you're all selfish people. And the A is the most important part. The A is for assholes. And when you get this heat, like now, then at that point, I realized why they call it heat, because there was a literal wave of warm air from the people standing up, And that night there, we needed a police escort. That's how crazy it was. Yeah.
Cool. And I mean, you were given a great push straight away. You defeated Scott Steiner and Test at Judgment Day, and then a month after this, you defeated Kane and Rob Van Dam for the tag team titles at Bad Blood. So, how did it feel for yourself that both you young guys, still brand new to the main roster, getting this instant push and becoming tag team champions? And you are still the youngest tag team champion. I don't give
You're
a fuck what they say with Nicholas.
The youngest. Yeah. Oh no, because I mean the gimmick was over. People can say, "Oh, they're agreeing." Listen, the Mr. and Mrs. Walmart. Okay, that's just the casual fan didn't like us because of the anti-American whatever, because we're French. And then the smart fan didn't like us because we didn't deserve it. We're too green, whatever. Bottom line is, it worked. The opportunities that we got, like me and Sylvan versus the Dudley Boys, Sydney, Australia, main event, 40,000 people, sold out. Memories like that, you never forget, right?
Yeah, that's true. And you mentioned Pat Patterson earlier on, and you said he was one who paired you up. And how important was he for you as a tag team? And also, how was he in general as a person?
Oh, He's just, yeah. You know, I hate when the people like we're in 2021 let go of the homosexuality bullshit. Okay, put that aside, please. As a person, he was, you know, he could be a prick, like just like anybody else. He had his good days and his bad days, but he would make me laugh so many fucking times, man. Oh, you remember the pay-per-view where they killed Paul Bear?
Oh, yeah. I do, yeah.
Great American Bash, right?
That's right.
So we're in the stands before the show, right? And he smoked, and he didn't give a fuck. He'd smoke inside. What the fuck are we doing? We're fucking killing a guy. What the fuck is this bullshit? Oh, it was so funny, man. He knew half the shit was just stupid, but you know, you just go with it. It's entertainment. Yeah. I miss him.
He is sadly missed, and I mean, one of the greatest minds for wrestling for match finishes. Like he's never been touched ever since, basically. But he's the way he could book a match finish, and I mean, he's such an important person in the history of WWE. It's crazy.
In my opinion, like a lot of the fans are complaining about how the product has been for those last several years. And one of the big reasons why is because he's not around.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why, in my opinion. But yeah, you know, just not saying that there's not nobody there that's talented. I'm just saying there's people there that might be talented, but Vince don't trust them.
That's true. I've heard that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And not long after this, they put Rob Conway as part of the group. So how did you feel having a third member onto the group?
Oh, Rob was great. He could take more of the bumps.
That's not a bad thing.
Oh, no, Rob was great. Because all three of us were in, you know, the lifting weights and we're really into fitness and stuff. So we got along great. Rob's a great guy.
Cool. And the big feud you had was with the Dudleys, and fortunately, you was a victim of Bully Ray's bullying. I suppose you could say he was a little bit rough on you. So, what was his problem?
Rough on Sly. Jesus.
Yes.
It's, you know, they have their routine that they do, right? Like a Dudley Boys match isn't the same as like a classic Midnight Express rock and roll match. You know, it's not one of those southern. They have their little routine and it works. You know what I mean? But Bubba can be impatient at times and, you know, short-tempered, right?
Yeah.
So, but hey, it is what it is. You know, we made money together and we're all still alive. Sly broke his neck though.
Wow.
Because you remember he would do that Bubba bomb through a table.
Yes.
All right. Well, Sly would take that every night, and he was getting the edge of the table every night, and eventually he had like a hairline fracture in his neck. That's why when he left, it was just me and Rob, because he had to get his neck fixed. Yeah.
Crazy. And one of the, I suppose, memorable moments during this was the Spike Dudley table bump. I've heard you said it was Bubba Ray who actually positioned the table.
Okay, there's unwritten rules in WWF. Okay, one rule is that the first 6 months you're there, you don't say a word.
Right.
Right, especially when you're a 19-year-old kid. Especially when Sly only has about maybe 50 matches under his belt. You don't say. We actually spoke up and said, "Can we do something else? Because we don't feel comfortable doing this." But you're doing it. Okay, so we didn't set up the table, and we felt fucking bad. Like it's not like we purposely did it; it was a fuck up. But that, you know, that's something you would do on a movie set with stuntmen, with fucking crash pads, with, you know, that has nothing to do with professional wrestling. You know what I mean? But the following week, they did the same thing to Rob Conway, but said, "Oh, we're gonna set up two tables." And what happens? Go back and look at the footage. His neck hits, the same fucking thing happens to him. You know, it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. He could have easily killed himself off that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, table bumps, they are pretty dangerous. And
let me ask you a question. If he would have taken it right and gone through it no problem, would anybody be talking about it today?
Oh no,
No.
just another bump.
Would it have sold one more ticket? No, I guarantee that the way he took it is what made it interesting to the match.
Yeah. It was nasty what happened. Did he mention anything to you afterwards? Or I can imagine you said sorry to him. How was he afterwards?
I was up and down. I said, I'm so sorry. He's like, I called him that night. It was me and Rob Van Dam were hanging out. And I said, you got Spike's number? I called him his cell phone to see if he was okay. But then later on in an interview, he goes and buries us, calls us, we're green. It's like, hey, man, it wasn't our idea. We didn't feel comfortable doing it. We said we didn't feel comfortable doing it. But they made us do it, and you said you were okay. I even bought you some recreational herbal medicine the following week as a sorry. But anyway, it is what it is. That's what 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
and I suppose this feud culminated with you dropping the belts to Bully and to Dudley, sorry, and you mentioned Sylvan's injury, which affected the team. But during his time, Goldberg became the champion. So, any fun stories with Goldberg?
Yeah, he dislocated my what's this, like your collarbone or whatever?
Yeah.
He had a pre-tape in the back with Goldberg, and he hit me with the French flag, and we had to do 5 takes. And to this day, if I try to flex, it still hurts.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's a shit. He's horrible.
Bret Hart will tell you that as well.
Many wrestlers would tell you that. Yeah.
Are you surprised?
Sorry.
Are you surprised that they seem to keep bringing him back? And I mean, he became champion at, what was he, like 52 or something? Don't get me wrong, he was a big name in WCW, but his WWE runs haven't been that great. Are you surprised that they always seem to keep bringing him back and sticking the belt on him at the expense of younger talent?
To me, they must be desperate. That's the only thing I can figure. They can't create new stars, or they don't have confidence in the people they have, or a lot of things like you and I don't realize because we're not there. I mean, it could be as simply as he does something wrong backstage, or they might hush keep a secret that he failed a drug test. As soon as you fail a drug test, then they lose confidence. They can't trust you anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, well, they buried this guy. They buried this guy. Well, maybe you don't know that he did something wrong, that, complained, or he showed up late, or he pissed dirty. These are things that you and I are not aware of,
Yeah.
If Vince he owns $1 billion company. He's a promoter. He needs to promote you. In order to promote you, he has to have 100% confidence and trust in you that you're going to do a good job and not embarrass him. You understand? That's what a lot of people don't take into consideration. Oh, well, he's great in the ring. I don't give a shit how good. John Cena is not very good. I know. I wrestled him. But you can rely on him. He's articulate.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He looks good. He put him have him walk down the beach. Guess what? Girls and guys are going to be staring at him. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest moments you could say, and it must have just been a highlight for yourself, was sharing the ring with The Rock and Mick Foley.
Oh, yeah. The Rock. That guy's going to be president. I predict he'll be president of the United States.
Oh, yeah. It's guaranteed.
100%. Yeah. Pro. Awesome. Awesome memories.
How close did you get him to doing the French tickler?
Dude, it was so close.
Yeah.
God, I just went, because having him do it, that was like
over forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You came close. He was thinking about doing it, but he didn't. But that's all right. Maybe someday.
Yeah, it was over, though, the French tickler. I mean, the fans loved it. So how did you come about with it?
I stole it, of course, like anything else. Well, there was another French-Canadian wrestler named the model Rick Martel. Remember him?
Yes.
If you go back and watch his heel work when he did something very similar. So, and I kind of, back then I kind of looked like Rick Martel. And so, again, you take, what's old is new. You take something from the past and redo it, right? But yeah, it did get over because you being from the UK, you know who Cristiano Ronaldo is.
Yeah, that's like.
Yeah, in 2008, I had a webmaster who was from the UK, and he goes, Rene, you won't believe this. And it was Cristiano Ronaldo doing the French tickler after a field goal. And it was like, wow. Yeah.
Definitely
Great.
over.
It's over. Yeah.
Yep. And another group that was top of Raw at this time was Evolution. Any fun Ric Flair stories? I can imagine you would have one.
Ric Flair?
Yeah.
I rode with him one time. It was me, Randy Orton, and Ric Flair. And then they were in the front, and I actually fell asleep, which probably got back to the administration, and they weren't very happy with that, right? Because if you're a young guy, they want you to stay awake and be like all ears and shit. But I have a tendency to fall asleep when I'm in the back seat.
I have as well.
Hey, man, I was only 19. Fuck, leave me alone.
Yeah, you was still like really young during this time, and I mean, I would imagine he was someone you grew up watching, Chris Jericho, and you wrestled him as well. So how was it for yourself to wrestle? I mean, Jericho's going down as one of the all-time greats now, but what was it like for yourself during this time to wrestle him?
I was excited for it. No, fellow Canadian. One time he said, well, I sent a tape to your dad, and yeah, he didn't get back to me. Apparently, I'm not good enough. So he held that against me. I said, what year was it, Chris? 91. I go, Chris, do you realize that my father shut his territory down in 1990? So you're getting mad at me that my father didn't reopen his territory just for you when he was losing money? Come on now. Shit like that I had to deal with, right? So, I enjoy being the ring with Chris. He's a hell of a talent.
How do you feel about him still going in AEW?
I hope my career can last as long as his.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He's getting paid, man. Good for him.
Definitely is. And you made your WrestleMania debut in that four-way tag match at WrestleMania 20. So what was it like doing your first WrestleMania? I think it was where was 20 at? Oh, Madison Square Garden. So yeah, how did it feel wrestling MSG?
Dude, I mean, it's like the most famous arena in the world, the biggest show of the year. I'm 20 years old on WrestleMania 20. You know what I mean? And I trained because I'm really into fitness, but I said, okay, I treated this show like it was like the Mr. Olympia or Mr. Universe contest,
Yeah.
So I would be up 5 o'clock in the morning doing my cardio and planning out my meals because I want to look good physically for the show, right? And Vince obviously noticed it because right after that, I got the big singles push.
Yeah. And I suppose something similar, talking about agents. Who was the agents you got along with during these days? And I could imagine there was a couple you didn't get along with so much.
Oh, there's a lot of them didn't like me. I got along great with Fit, actually.
All right.
Finley, yeah. Well, he's second generation from a wrestling family. His father was a promoter, connected that way. Just like I got along great with Eddie Guerrero. Same, his father was a wrestler and a promoter. I guess when you grew up with it and you understand the business aspect plus the wrestling, you have a different mindset. You know what I mean? Like what I explained to you about Vince not trusting guys. And see, most wrestlers don't understand that. They just think, well, I can put on a 5-star match. Okay, who gives a fuck? It's a business. You know what I mean? Can you go on David Letterman and speak articulately and promote the show and not make me look like an idiot and my company look stupid? You understand? That's a big part of it. Yeah. Yeah.
What about Johnny Ace?
Johnny Ace! How many viewers do you get on this, dude?
Believe me, Rene, it varies. One clip can do 30,000, and then the other one it's mixed. Yeah, it varies. Not quite Hannibal numbers yet, but we're getting there.
Well, I actually tagged him. I have a Twitter account, and I actually tagged him because we just won the NOAH Global Tag League, and me and Dr. Wagner are the first foreigners in history to do that in 21 years of NOAH's existence. and his claim to fame was being in Japan. So, and that was Noah was Mizawa's company, right? And he was with Mizawa in all Japan because Mizawa, Kobashi, they were all Giant Baba's students. So, in one way, now I can align myself in the same, in the same group as like the Gordy and Williams and Brody and Hanson as a foreigner Gaijin tag team that won the tag league. Yeah. So hopefully I prove myself, Johnny. Yeah.
And another legend you share the ring with, Stone Cold. I mean, the backstage segment was so funny. Like, totally go on the French pitch, but you actually, I mean, you took a hell of a stunner. By the way, I watched it last night. I was like, whoa, what a fucking sell that was! So Stone Cold, tell me all about it.
To copy me since then. I actually know I ripped off Scott Hall. I saw Scott do it, and then but I got more airtime than him. But everybody since then has been doing it that way. So I think Scott Hall's the originator, but I did it on Raw, and I don't know. But yeah, I'll give Scott Hall the credit on that one. I stole it from him.
Cool. And this, like, during the talk that the draft was coming up, and you got drafted to SmackDown. So, whose idea was it for you to be drafted to SmackDown and start becoming this single star?
I guess it must be Vince.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm sure Pat had a lot to do with it too. Pat had a lot of pull. But I think they were kind of weary because I was so young. But I didn't believe it or not. I had problems later on, but I never went out. I never drank. I was in the gym sometimes twice a day. I was so focused. To climb higher. First it was the title, then I was the number one draft pick on Raw for the draft. Then I had that run with Cena. Then we had the big blow off in LA for 20,000 people sold out. But that was to help build him because everybody knew that Cena was going to be Vince's boy, right? Yeah. But nobody can deny that I helped make him. That's a fucking fact.
That's true. I mean, before we get to the match, I mean, they must have had a lot of trust in you because they gave you your own talk show segment, Cafe de Rene, and it was awesome. And having Torrie Wilson with you, I'm surprised. I'm guessing you wasn't complaining.
Dude, the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life. I mean, they got pretty girls on TV now, but they're not Torrie Wilson's lady. No. Not even close. She's like a real human, like Barbie doll.
Yeah.
God, she's beautiful. Yeah, it was great.
I would say you would have tried to make a move, but I'm guessing Kidman was hanging around the corner somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's something that's bad karma, dude. That was his wife, so yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a great angle and that, and then, like you said, Cena came out to make the save, and I mean, such a great angle. You powerbombing Cena through the table, and then Staples sent that match at Judgment Day, and what a match! It was a really good match, and it was a match. I forgot how old I was. I think I was like 13 or 14, but it's really invested watching it, and great match. So how was it like? Obviously, Cena was on the rise, but yeah, you put him over big time.
And I put together the whole fucking match too. That was me. That was me standing up at night thinking. That was me trying different things, because I have a severe case of OCD. I'm a perfectionist, but yeah, I mean, there's different markets in the United States, and I guess WWF is worldwide. So just because something gets over in one part of the country doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get over in a different part of the world or that country, right? But on the West Coast, I'm talking like Nevada and California, we didn't even have to lock up together.
Right.
We just did face to face. It was like, they wanted it, right? So the fact that pay-per-view did 300,000 buys, I think means Cena had a big part to do with it,
Oh, great. It was absolutely great, like that feud. And like, not just the feud, but like I said, the match itself, I really enjoyed it. And I mean, obviously, Cena went on to be one of the biggest stars of all time, but during these days, he was on the rise. But how was he like behind the scenes to be around with?
Never changed with me.
Yeah.
Never changed with me. But then again, I haven't been around him 15 years. You know, maybe money and power changes a person. But if I were to see him again, I wouldn't expect him to be any different than when I knew him before. I'd be disappointed if he was, you know. I actually like the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, from all accounts of people who I've spoke to who's shared the locker room with him, same answer. They said he's just the nicest person you can be around with.
Well, he has self-confidence, as he should, you know. And it's not overly, you know, it's not like arrogant, but then again, I haven't seen him in 15 years. But if you were to challenge me again, I'm not the same cat I used to be, pal. I've changed.
And you mentioned the Great American Bash earlier, and you was part of that fatal four-way for the US title, along with Cena, RVD, and Booker T. And just another great match. And like you, like I suppose there might have been plans for you to be like tippy top heel, but this like I suppose mid card feud for the US title was such great stuff. And SmackDown during this time had such a great mid card roster. So how was it like being part of not only wrestling Cena every week, but wrestling RVD?
Yeah, Rob. I must have wrestled Rob, Jesus Christ, at least 150 times.
Yeah.
He's knocked me out about 50. No, Rob's a hell of an athlete and a hell of a wrestler. And our biggest business together was done post WWE because we did tours of France together.
Oh.
And I had never been to France with the WWF. So when I went over there, like that's the biggest business. And I was obviously the babyface. I was the good guy, you know. And I drew a lot of money in France. And me and Rob did a lot. Me and Tess did a lot. Yeah, that was great. Rob's great.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to speak to him a few months ago, and great guy. So I agree. And someone who hasn't got such a great reputation, he became the world champion that night at Great American Bash, was JBL. So I mean, there's been many stories of him being a bully. What was your experience with him?
People use the word bully. Bully is something you do in fucking kindergarten. Okay.
Yeah.
This is straight up harassment. Okay.
Right.
Listen, that was then. I think maybe it's a Southern mindset or maybe a military mindset to toughen people up because they're not, you know. But I guarantee I'm actually kind of grateful for that because nobody will fucking ever treat me like that ever again in my life. Ever. They haven't since, you know. Yeah.
What were some of the worst cases you saw him do to, if not to yourself, to other people?
No, I mean, he was really, really, really hard on me as far as name calling, and you know, I just don't want to really get into that shit. But it brings up bad memories. Then I'll want to go drink and I'll kill somebody. So I don't want to do that. But yeah, I'm actually kind of grateful that he did, because I guarantee if I ever saw him again and he would open his mouth, you'd have to wire it shut.
Fair enough. And so during this time, another youngster who was getting the big push as well at the time at SummerSlam, Randy Orton. So I think he said himself, like a month after his reign, like he dropped the belt because he said he was too immature in that. So how was Orton to be around?
Yeah, well, you just said it. I mean, I was young too, so we're kind of buddies, you know.
Yeah.
Because we traveled together and shared rooms together and stuff. But yeah, my last day there, it was me, him, and Santino Marella.
Oh, right.
And and I told them both, I go, yeah, man, I just asked for my release. He's like, what? Are you kidding? I don't know, man. He's like, you know, me and you, we could probably draw a lot of money together. I go, yeah, but I need to leave, you know. Then he made those comments a few years ago where he kind of bashed the independent scene.
Right.
Like, well, here in the big boy world, like everybody else is irrelevant. It's like, motherfucker. You know, that At first, when I saw it, I was sober, and then I had a buzz. And then I started tapping. Oops, I'm sorry. It wasn't me, the alcohol.
Good. But one of your biggest supporters on commentary seemed to be Taz, and whenever you done the French tickler, he would always sing along with it, and he always seems to put it over quite well. So, how is it feeling like Taz putting you over on commentary? Because I thought he'd done a great job.
Would you believe when I watched my matches back, it was on mute? I didn't even listen to commentary.
Really?
Yeah. And after a while, dude, like, you're so sick of, like, you're around wrestling all the time that when you get home, you don't even want it. You don't care. It's like you just want to go to sleep, and then you're so busy because don't forget, you gotta take care of your receipts. You gotta divide your receipts because you gotta file in 50 states, and you gotta put in your binders. Then you gotta get your time set up to the hotels and rent a cars, and you gotta get your laundry done. And you gotta go to the dry cleaners, get your suit, because if you don't wear a suit, you get fined, and then and you gotta work out, and
yeah.
So you really don't have time. And you're on the road so much that people don't believe me, but you're literally, everybody who's done a full-time schedule will tell you that some weeks you'll show up to the airport and the girl will say, "Where are you traveling to today?" And you'll be like, "I have no idea. You tell me."
Yeah.
It's constantly going, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine it's just quite a blur, and it's something when wrestlers do retire or even like leave WWE, and I suppose it can be a little bit less hectic, it's such a difference for people to just try and get used to living a normal life again.
That's it. It's simple physics. If you're going 100 miles an hour in a car and it comes to a dead stop, if you're not wearing a seatbelt, what's happening? You're going right through that windshield.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not prepared, dude, because you're so used to going, then
Yeah.
It really screws with your head. That's why a lot of guys, you notice a lot of guys, I don't have to name names, you read the news, right?
Mm-hmm.
That once they get released, they usually end up with a lot of problems, especially with the law.
Yeah.
Right? Not everyone, but a lot of them do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But they decided to put you back in a tag team with Kenzo Suzuki, and underrated worker. I for that short stint he was in WWE, I enjoyed it. I thought he was a great worker, and you just became tag team champions. How was working with Kenzo? It was quite an odd pairing, but it seemed to work.
Well, a lot of fans in the US like laugh at it and stuff because what the hell is this? But what they don't understand is when Kenzo was on TV, they were going to Japan and they were selling out the Saitama Super Arena 2 nights in a row, nearly 20,000 people.
Wow.
Okay. Now they have a hard time filling up the sumo hall, which is about 10,000 people. Don't forget that. It's business. And at that time, when me and him were champions, there was a French news station actually called my father to get in contact with me because they wanted to do a reportage, a news report on me. And the television show was called De 7 à 8. That's from 7 to 8. It's an hour-long program in France. And they actually, my father gave them WWE office's number, and they flew to Buffalo, I think, New York, and they stayed with me the whole day, just fucking film me the whole day, right? But that show that they did on me, it was 20 minutes of an hour, and at the time, France's population was 60 million people. Over 6 million people in France watched that show with me. Okay? WWF would beg to have 6 million people watch their television show this day and age.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Ratings ain't that great these days.
Yeah. So that's when, from 2008 to 2010, I went with a company from Ireland, American Wrestling Rampage. We went over there for 2 years, and we sold out every major arena in that country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and I think that's what I mean. I know a lot of people complained when Jinder Mahal became champion, but they didn't realize that WWE was trying to get the Indian market, and I think they've done like a show, and
But that's
like
what it
20
was.
million
But
people
there's a
tuned in.
difference. There's a difference. The Indians knew he wasn't pure,
Good.
like from India. He's of
Yeah.
Indian descent, but he's, and they already had their big draw. That was Kali.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kali went over there with his own show, and I think he drew over 70,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Kali could have went over there wrestling a grape and have drawn 70,000 people because they had never seen him live. Right. That's the big draw over there is Kali.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. A podcast you done recently, Rewind, Recap, Relive, Jonah. He's one of my best pals. But he had Cali on the show, and like his Cali numbers for his episode was like so good, and he said basically the Indian audience, they love him, so that goes with what you say.
Yeah, what they have, like 10 billion people over there?
It's crazy amount of people.
Yeah.
Yep. And so you held the titles for quite a while, and eventually you lost to Ray and RVD, and obviously the hardcore Holly situation happened. Can't be bothered talking about it because you've explained it quite well, and there's no point digging up old stuff. But he was a prick, and that's it. But the one thing you did do was share the ring with Taker as the sacrifice, and man, the Undertaker. What was it like being around him?
At the time, you're young and you thought, "Oh shit, they're punishing me. They're taking me out of WrestleMania." But let's fast forward, 17 years later. Does anybody remember the Battle Royal at WrestleMania? Because that's basically what I would have done if I didn't know. But go check out me being sacrificed by the Undertaker on YouTube. There's millions of hits. So what was better exposure?
That way.
Right? So now I realize it. Like being in that with him, doing that was way better for my career than being put in a Battle Royal before WrestleMania on the pre-show. Yeah.
Great. And you came back and you had a new look, black dyed hair and the goatee, and I think you're preparing yourself as the French Phenom. What brought about this change of your look?
Okay, I got an exclusive for you because I've been repeating myself from other interviews. Okay. At the time, it was very cookie cutter. A lot of the guys looked alike.
Yeah.
I knew that from the 2004 or 2000. It was one of the Royal Rumbles. And Jim Ross got me and Charlie Haas mistaken for each other. He called me Charlie and he called Charlie Rene or Dupree. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, we got to change shit up here. I got to look different than everybody else. But in 2005, I went to the theater and I watched a movie called The Devil's Rejects.
Oh, great movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I waited till it came out on DVD and I watched it and I watched it and I watched it. And finally, I pitched that idea to one of the writers. His name's Brian Gerwitz. He now works for The Rock.
Yeah.
I said, there's this movie and this has to be a character because everybody in this fucking thing looks alike. Long hair, long beards, wife beaters, a psychotic family from the South. They had to be Southern. What does that remind you of?
Yeah, Wyatt families.
Go.
Yeah.
I thought of that in 2000. I think I proposed it. I proposed it when Vince McMahon was wrestling God. Remember when they did that?
That's right, yeah.
Said they need a group called the Devil's Rejects, and they have to look like the people in that movie. And that, in my opinion, that was the hottest angle they've had in the last 15 years.
Yeah, that's true. There's a group, I don't know if you watch much Ring of Honor, but there's a group called The Righteous. It's led by Vincent, and it's complete Devil's Rejects. I mean, if you just Google up and it's a 4-group team, and they have a spitting image of the Devil's Rejects, so it's still working. But they're great characters. They really are great stuff. But yeah, Ring of Honor. But cool. But you was on a winning streak. Like I said, you had a new look in that, and you was on a winning streak. Defeated the likes of Tajiri and Helms and stuff. Unfortunately, it was like a near career ending hernia injury. Have I got right?
I got too big.
Yeah.
I was trying to look too big, and the hernia didn't bother me, but Vince didn't like it.
Right.
Yeah. So I was told I had to get operated on, and then I was gone for. I thought I was gone for 2 or 3 weeks. Then I was gone for like 8 months.
Yeah. And sadly, during this time, Eddie Guerrero passed away. So how much does that affect the locker room? I can only imagine.
That was hard. That was really hard. It still affects me. Like I remember, I actually did a weekend in the UK, and then this is a few years ago. Like, and I came back to Canada, but my connecting flight was snowed out, so basically I had to get a hotel. So instead of wasting my hotel, I went and stayed at one of Santino Morella's students' house.
Yeah.
Just because I was going to be there for 8 hours and catch the next flight back home. And they had the WWE Network, and I never even watched the network. And then all of a sudden, they put on like an Eddie Guerrero tribute, and I could not watch it. Like I could feel you know what I mean? Like just seeing him on TV, I just can't watch it, can't see it. I get that way with him. I get that way with Lance Cade. There's certain guys that are gone and no longer with us. If I see him on TV, I just can't watch it. You know, too emotional.
Yeah, especially someone like, I mean, obviously with any wrestler that passed away, but Lance Cade, he was super young. I spoke to Trevor Murdoch, and they was basically brothers. And wow, he was like, what was he, 30, 31, like stupidly young when he passed away. 29, that was right, yeah. So that's it.
See, I got him his gig in Japan, All Japan, right?
Right.
He had gotten released, and then Little Funaki got him booked over for a company called Hustle. I was working for Hustle, and I didn't even know he was booked. And then they put us together as a tag team, and then he got re-signed to WWF. And then after a few months, because we kept in contact, he was like, "Man, this place, I just can't take it anymore." He says, "Can you help me get to Japan again?" So I'll see what I can do. So I got him his gig in All Japan. And to this day, I wish I would have told them, because they were grooming us to win the All Japan tag title.
Right.
I wanted to surprise them.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him. And to this day, it's like if I would have told him, maybe he would have, done something different. But
yeah. Very sad. And one of your last runs in WWE was part of ECW, which I suppose it was a bit of a different run for you, but you made your debut defeating Bulls Mahoney, and two people that was ringside that interfered in the match was Kevin Thorne and Ariel, and don't really hear much about them. So what was your experience with? Well, I say that Kevin Thorne you don't hear about, but Shelly Martinez you do. Ariel. So
you do?
what was your experience?
What's your?
It's mainly people's like, I don't know if like Batista tried to like seduce her or something like that. It was something crazy.
I know some inside stuff, but I won't say shit out of fear of a lawsuit. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. And another person you worked with was CM Punk. How was he?
No comment. Next question.
I think that answers it. Cool. And you were part of the pre-show December to Dismember, and that infamously that was the night where Paul Heyman lost his job. So
wasn't that the worst drawing pay-per-view ever?
Yep.
Isn't that why Sabu Sabu didn't make it on air?
No, they took him off, which was crazy, and it was like it was intentionally sabotaged, like to fail, just for an excuse to get Paul Heyman out the door.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
And your last match was teaming back up with Sylvan as live assistant. So was it true that they was thinking of creating a tag division in ECW?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're gonna make us tag champions.
Yeah.
On ECW. Yeah. But I had let's just say I had a lot of problems back then. And my demons overtook me, and I went away for a little while. And when I came back, Benoit killed his family, and I said, you know what? It's time for a change.
Yeah.
That changed Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. We mentioned it earlier, like the road schedule and the amount it can play on people. So it's just so hectic. And when that happens, it opened a lot of eyes, I do believe.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, there's I don't want to get into it. Maybe in a later. If we ever do this podcast again, I'll get further into it. But
I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Has it been good so far?
Oh, I've been loving it. You know, me growing up watching you as a kid, and now, you know, the pleasure of interviewing you. Yeah, it's
You're
absolutely
making me feel old. How old are you? 32? 33?
31. No, wait, I am 32. Fuck, I'm getting old.
Yeah. I'm only 37, pal. It's not that much difference.
And you made your way to Japan, but before you hit Japan, you was wrestling part of All Star in the UK. So, any fun UK stories?
Well, no, I went to Japan first. Went for a company called Hustle. Signed a contract for 5 tours a year, and then I went and worked for Mr. Brian Dixon. Yeah. Uh-huh. I got to meet his son-in-law Dino, and I love Dino to death.
Oh yeah.
Dino's, in my opinion, right now, he's probably one of the top British wrestlers.
He's good.
Oh my God. Yeah. And a great guy. Great guy. His father-in-law, not so much. But Dino's a great guy.
Any fun stories from the camps?
Yeah, fucking hell, man. I mean, you come over here and you don't wrong. I mean, fucking hell. Is that okay? Is that okay, Brian Dixon? I tried. Yeah. No, listen, just the memories of being like with Frankie Sloan and you know, working with Kid Cool. I got to tag up with PCO, Carl, you know. Got to work with, you know, Doug Williams and Brookside, guys like that, you know. Yeah. And, I have a lot of good memories there from the boys, you know. It definitely wasn't the money.
I've heard that.
There's a lot of great British talent over there, man.
Oh, there is, and like we mentioned off camera now, things are starting to reopen. Hopefully, be able to see more of that. And but you made your way to Japan and Japan, and guy you brought in as part of the Feud Murders was Joe Doring, and he's joined Impact lately. And we mentioned earlier what Ode is new again, and to me, he's such a throwback to the likes of Stan Hansen. So, is that how he came across?
Oh, Joe's great. I knew Joe and he was good looking. No, Joe's a great guy. We had a lot of, again, I don't want to get arrested or, you know, get indicted over some of the stuff we did over there, but he's a good dude. I really like Joe.
How do you feel about him being part of Impact Wrestling? And is Impact Wrestling somewhere you would like to join one day? Because I'm surprised that you never end up making your way towards TNA.
When I was working for a company called Wrestle One in Japan, we did a joint show with TNA, and the administration at the time kind of hinted, you know, they have a way of hinting, you know, because they didn't want to. But I had zero interest. I will never give up a full-time Japanese gig to go to an American company unless it's high dollar guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just too loyal. You know?
Yeah. And speaking of loyal, so Noah, you became the tag team champions with Ragnar Jr. Unfortunately, you had to vacate him because of this thing called the coronavirus. But how is it becoming tag team champion with Ragnar Jr. and his legendary family?
Well, I got to meet him, and we've had discussions about bringing me down to Mexico next year, which would be really cool. And after we won that Global Tag League, I didn't realize how many people actually watch Noah from different countries around the world, because within 1 week I had 12 offers from different countries, like New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, a bunch of companies in the States I never even heard of. And it was like, shit, fucking Corona, you know?
Yeah. Right. Cool. So we're down to the last segment of the show. So we're down to the fan questions, which is always fun. So are you ready?
Oh, God.
No, to be honest, they're actually quite nice fan questions. So we've got a nice audience.
Good.
So first question from Brandon Lee. He really wants to hear you talk about Fifi.
Fifi! Hold on a second.
Oh, there she is.
Hey, Fifi. Hello. My Fifi. Well, yeah, Fifi was my idea because I love dogs. And this dog is a French poodle, and we did name it Fifi. And yeah, because I was a big British Bulldogs fan, right, growing up as a kid.
Yep.
And I loved when Matilda came out. So I figured, okay, let's give another generation of kids the same feeling I had. I can't do the British, English Bulldog, but let's give them a standard French poodle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we never brought the dog on the road because there's no fucking way I was mature enough to handle that responsibility. But every night, without exception, I would hear a group of kids yelling, "Where's Fifi?" Because I knew it was over with the kids. And I knew if we, marketed it and had merchandising, that would make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you never did that. I think there is an action figure with like a little toy Fifi in it, which is like a collector's item, right? But yeah.
Oh. And a man you would know quite well, Jeremy Prophet. He said to ask about yours truly. I'm sure you've got a funny story about him.
Shit. No, Jeremy's all right. But I just said that because I knew he wanted me to put him over. I refused.
Yeah.
No, Jeremy's good. Jeremy's a good guy.
Cool. And Demo God 1 asked, any fun Dawn Ray stories?
She was sexy, right? She had sex appeal, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I was too young and stupid and naive to realize that I should have tried to hit on more of the girls, but I didn't.
Oh yeah, there was that segment.
We all have regrets, and that'd be one of them. No, Dawn was cool.
Yeah. There was that segment at the Great American Bash. I think the two users buy a hot tub and she's there in the bikini. So yeah, as a 19, 20-year-old, I can only imagine that was running through your head.
Right.
Cool. And same question by another question by the same guy. I suppose question people would ask: would you ever go back to WWE?
Depends on what day you ask me.
Yeah, and depends on the money.
Well, I've been very fortunate in that aspect of life as far as finances. I don't want to be braggadocious, but I don't give a shit who you are. That roar of the crowd is the most addicting, adrenaline pumping experience you can ever have. So, and I know the ribbing and the bullshit, the bullying backstage, that shit doesn't happen anymore, And there's got to be a reason why guys are turning down $500,000 year deals. That's why because I don't really talk to anybody in the business or anybody that's there, but on the outside looking in, it's like, are these guys just, that in love with wrestling that they're willing to turn down that kind of money? I can understand that too.
Yeah.
But at 37 years of age, I don't know how many years I have left. And I am in the prime of my, career. And, when I first left there, I wanted to accomplish stuff outside of WWE as a wrestler to almost gain respect. You understand? And nearly 60 tours of Japan and main eventing all over the world, main eventing sold out arenas all over the world. I'd kind of like to think I've, earned that respect from my peers.
Yeah.
And obviously WWF is the worldwide showcase, right?
Yeah.
And also I would not be scared of or be, because a lot of times I can fire you, Rene. That wouldn't scare me because I know there's a world outside and I know how to work that game outside of it. So that you can't scare me with that bullshit anymore, right? So, but because of that, that might actually hold me back because they know they can't fuck with me that way.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Mind game, right? It's, psychology and political mind game. But I would love to be in front of an American audience again and a worldwide audience again, just to show them what I've. Because I'm not the same wrestler as I was back then. I'm a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And a couple more questions. So one question by, I think he's pronouncing his name right, Majed Faraj. What was it like working with such an amazing talent and wrestler like his favorite, Glenn Jacobs, aka Kane?
Kane? Intelligent man. Extremely intelligent. Very articulate. A great leader. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't too mean, but he's a big son of a bitch, so he can be intimidating.
Oh yeah.
Like a big brother, fatherly type. Yeah. Big respect for Kane.
Cool. And last fan question from Kieran. Which run did you enjoy the most? Your tag success on Raw with Sylvan or your solo run on SmackDown?
Well, they were both great because I got the main event sold out arenas with Cena, and I got the main event sold out stadiums with me and Stallone.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a mark, but working your way up to the main event is kind of deep down. That's where everybody wants to be. I firmly believe. Some guys are just happy being a part of the card, but again, I have severe OCD, and you know what I mean. It's like you got to be the best, and when you're in the main event, that's the place to be, right? A main event with me and Sly on Raw, a main event with me and Cena on SmackDown, and the ratings went up when that happened.
Yeah. Cool. And last one from myself. Best Vince McMahon interaction.
Rene! There's not a drug I've never tried. Sometimes you gotta raise some hell. Yeah, Vince likes to party. Or at least yeah. There was this one time I asked to see him in his office. They sure. And then there were some rumors backstage started by a guy that drives race cars and plays with sparky plugs. I don't want to mention any names.
Yeah.
But I told him, listen, what you're hearing is a bunch of BS. It's like, Rene, we care about you. We're worried about you. We want you to succeed. And I was thinking, does this guy actually give a fuck, or is this one of those promoter tactics? He's a fucking hard guy to read.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's times he could be really cool. There's other times he could be, well, it's like anybody else, right? Especially when you're in his position. It's kind of hard to judge the guy because you're not in charge of, a $1 billion company with how many hundreds of people to employ, right?
Exactly.
But yeah. That's all I got to say about that.
Cool. Well, Rene, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Great time talking to you. But before we do go, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
You can't find me at all unless you want to give me money. If you want to give me money, I won't be offended by cash. That's a Bobby Heenan line. Yeah. I don't know. At Real Rene Dupree on Twitter and Rene Dupree on Facebook. I love doing these podcasts because I don't have to take any bumps.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot easier on my health.
Cool. Right. And is the rumors true that you might be starting one for yourself? And I'm hoping it's with your friend Corey because I watched your interview on Hannibal and man, Corey is fucking hilarious. You need to start a show together. Tell him I said that.
I'll make sure you send me this link so I can send it to Corey so his ego can get even bigger. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Corey's an alcoholic, but he's my friend. I accept him.
Cool. Well, Rene, thanks very much. Had a great time, and yeah, hopefully do this again one day.
Yes, sir. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Hey, James here. Thanks for checking out this interview. Hope you enjoyed it. And as for announcement for next week's interview, and we're going back to Impact Wrestling, and we're talking to another second generation wrestler, former Knockouts Tag Team Champion, the one and only Rachel Ethering. Great chat to Rachel. Had a great chat talking about her growing up underneath her father, the precious Paul Ethering, friendship and family with the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, and their close relationship with them. Becoming a wrestler, training underneath Lance Storm, and basically making her way to Impact Wrestling, becoming Knockouts Tag Team Champion, and what her future plans is in wrestling. So hopefully you can come back and check it out. And if you want to follow me on social media, please check me out on Twitter at 90s Wrestling Pod, Instagram at 90s Wrestling Podcast, and Facebook at 90s Wrestling Podcast. And if you can give us a like, a subscribe, and a follow on whichever platform you're listening on, YouTube, podcast, it really does help us out. And the bigger the audience we can get, the bigger the channel, which means more guests, more interviews, and more stories. So everyone, until then, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.